Muted.
I want to welcome everybody that's joined up to this point. We'll go ahead and get started here in just a couple of minutes, but you're in the right place for the Domain Systems webinar this morning, or early afternoon, depending on where you're at. All right. We want to again welcome everybody for coming this morning, and for about 1 minute too. So we'll just, as we've got people joining here left and right, we'll just give them just another minute and get started. Okay. All right, so welcome everyone. We, of course, have got the screen share up there, all looking at the maximizing ROI with Agile page, right, for the beginning of the presentation, and we'll get started on that in just a minute. Welcome for, or thank you for joining, I meant to say, and appreciate you all spending some time with us this morning as we run through how to best maximize your Agile PLM application. Introducing myself, my name is Ben Banford, Sales Manager here at Domain Systems. Domain Systems has been around since 1996. The original Agile implementation partner and actual reseller, stayed with Oracle through the acquisition and have been working with Agile ever since, specializing in, of course, implementations and PXs, integrations, and general consulting. With that, I do want to introduce Jeff Nichols, our VP of Professional Services, who will be running the presentation today. And Jeff's been with us for what, almost 10 years now. Vast experience around manufacturing, PLM generally, of course, Agile, and runs our services group, and as well as the general organization on that time in many of our longer-term type rollouts and implementations. As we go along here, everyone, feel free to insert your questions down in the chat box there. So just message to the organizer. Feel free to submit your questions along the way, and then we'll address those at the end. And I do want to say, from what I understand, we've got a large group joining us today that don't actually use or have Agile PLM at this time. However, I think you'll find this very much worthwhile, as you'll be seeing what we Domain offer in the way of not only best practices once the product is up and running, but also some of our overall strategy and methods as we prep for an implementation. So whether you own and use the product as a corporation at this time or not, we welcome you, and I think you'll absolutely get value from this. So with that, Jeff, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Ben. Good morning
or early afternoon, depending upon where you are. My name is Jeff Nichols. As Ben indicated, I run the services organization for domain systems. I've been involved with Agile and PLM for longer than I care to admit, and so there's been a lot that I've seen, a lot that I've dealt with, a lot that I've helped different customers with. So I hope that you can find this insightful. It won't provide any specific solution, but it will provide you hopefully with a direction that you can head if some of the questions you have are where do I go next with Agile? So obviously to start out, we've got our safe harbor. Everybody's familiar with safe harbor, so I'll just move on. So domain systems, you know, why are we giving this presentation? Well, let me tell you. We are a global consultancy that focuses on Oracle Agile software, the PLM specific software, Agile. We were the first consulting services partner for Agile, for the Agile product, and so we have got the pedigree and genealogy and tricks in our bag that there's hardly anything that we have not dealt with before, and so we feel very qualified to speak on this topic, and I hope that at the end of this you recognize that. We are an Oracle certified partner. We're also a value-added reseller. We've got a tremendous amount of number of customers, as well as a tremendous number of years of experience in all verticals, med device, pharmaceutical, you name it, we've got it. We provide an end-to-end solution, so we don't just insert ourselves in a particular place and upstream and downstream say good luck. We do end-to-end solutions, both from a services as well as a business process perspective, including data migrations from legacy systems into your Agile system. We are the only partner that we are aware of that has what is called a Center of Excellence, dedicated towards supporting not only on a technical but primarily on a functional basis the Agile product. So we have a Center of Excellence that allows customers to ask questions and provide, get assistance with different things. And we are also the largest provider of custom and packaged ERP, CAD utilities, process extensions, et cetera, et cetera. So as I mentioned, we've got a lot of years of business consulting, integration, and application experience. We have got proprietary products that are available from a PX perspective, GroovyScript, whatever your vernacular, as well as up and downstream integrations to upstream systems such as CAD and CRM, as well as ERP solutions. We have a team of seasoned consultants that focus on many different areas, that from a business process perspective, a functional specific for Agile, as well as that technical expertise that comes with a lot of years of experience. We are domain employees. We use contractors for specialized needs. Right? It's not every project that needs an ERP integration. Even though we have certain adapters, there are some that we don't. And we bring in a contractor when we have the need for those special, unique, specific needs. But we are all domain systems employees. Right? We all work for domain. We're not contractors, etc. We have software capabilities, both from a new development as well as supporting existing products that some of our customers already have. and we sell and deliver Agile is our primary business. We do all aspects of services around domain systems. And as I mentioned, that Center of Excellence, I encourage you to inquire about that if you find the need that you're running into questions with Agile that you just can't seem to answer. So let's move on. So content management is a never-ending challenge. Everybody has more than likely seen this spaghetti slide, in the fact that you know, in most cases, even if you have a PLM system, you've got certain aspects of this spaghetti slide that may still be existing. Basically, data and information about your products is in emails, in you know, in shared servers, on your hard drive, on the engineering CAD vault, whatever the case may be. You've got content relative to your products all over the place. And you know, in comes the Oracle Agile salesperson and gives this nice, slick-looking presentation that indicates that you've got a competitive advantage with one version of truth as a repository. Well, that statement is correct, but yet you cannot necessarily bite everything off in one big chunk. So from a vision perspective, absolutely this is the direction and the way to go. Everything centralized so that you're not hunting and pecking and trying to find information when you need it. So you buy into the vision and you buy Agile and you implement it, and all is great, right? I mean, thumbs up on everything. What you've deployed is wonderful, but then after a few years, you're starting to see where, you know, why I don't know whether or not I'm getting the value. I'm not sure I'm getting all I can from Agile. You know, am I managing my complaints properly? Do I have my compliance content there? Am I able to respond to customer changes and demands and needs and understanding that? Do I have, you know, how's my innovation apply into Agile? Am I getting those ideas and then fleshing them out and developing them? Am I leveraging my suppliers to the fullest capability? All that kind of stuff, right? So there's a broad, you know, a broad capability that Agile offers, and the question is am I getting all I can from that investment? Well, the big question is you know, the value that we have established, the value that we see that you get from Agile is applicable to, number one, how creative you can be, but then how creative you can be in applying the best practices to those things and to those business processes that you are implementing against. And so the question is how do I get on the path, the green arrow path, where my value is going up and my best practice compliance and adoption is in line? Well, we, you know, one way that we offer to do that is performing what we call a PLM strategic value assessment. Now, why is it important to periodically do one of these value assessments? Well, point number one is the fact that it is a checkpoint to evaluate the value that you're receiving from your product up to today, right? I mean, if you had in your implementation process a multiple phase deployment, it's always valuable to do a checkpoint at the end of a phase to see whether or not you've got everything that you are expecting to receive from that phase of deployment and implementation, and it's coming to realization. If not, then obviously that then leads to a guideline for future improvements and future expansion and future footprint, as well as expected value that you get for the next phase. In addition to that, it provides visibility to other benefits and encourages staying on course with what your initial plan was all about. So thinking back to that vision that Oracle provided you out there for the competitive advantage, understanding, are there upstream activities that I can bring into Agile as well as downstream to gain the benefit that my investment is going to offer. Well, when we do these strategic assessments, it's all in the mindset of getting the effect of time to profit. All right? Is there time wasted on things? You know, Agile is an enterprise solution, and so the access to information should not be a delay. You don't have to necessarily pass things from desk to desk to desk. It's all centrally located. But am I getting the value of time working in my favor with how I've deployed Agile? Everybody understands the profit to time graph here from the standpoint of you've got an innovation and a new product introduction section which is bringing your product to market, and then you've got a ramp up. And the whole thing, the whole objective there is to shrink that right side and pull it closer to the left so that you're innovating quicker, you're developing products quicker, and you're ramping up quicker. Therefore, bringing your profitability up steeper, and you're able to realize things much quicker. Most of these things are due to inefficient processes. Errors result, as a result of duplication and repetitively wasting time, entering data into another system, so on and so forth. So the goal here is to condense and reduce that time to volume. One way we do that is through these value assessments, and this value assessment is made up of an evaluation of your particular deployment of Agile. What we end up doing, the objectives of this thing is that we would meet with executive decision makers, key influencers, so on and so forth. There would be a communication of priority and importance relative to the activity that needs to go on or that we're doing, reviewing objective and sharing objectives of what this value assessment is going to do and deliver, setting the proper expectation and building momentum behind it so that everybody is on board that we want to improve our footprint and our deployment of Agile. So the approach is that we meet and or communicate to the enterprise. This project or this initiative would be introduced by the customer, and we would issue a challenge to the company to think differently, right? Don't think the way that you are thinking today. Think creatively. That then opens the windows and opens the doors to other alternatives to solution providing. We bring a lot of that because so you're in a med device arena. That's great, but we bring experience from other industries and how they do certain things, and those concepts can be applied to other industries. Case in point, had a project once that was dealing with warranty. And what we did is we treated warranty as a disease. So what did we do? We went to the Center of Disease Control, understood how they managed, quarantined, et cetera, diseases and plagues, and we brought that and applied it to a manufacturing warranty process. And it ended up saving the company several $billion every year. So at the end of the day, you need to think creatively and think differently and understand concepts and figure out how we can implement concepts into your environment in order to improve your Agile deployment. So At the end of this initial meeting, we basically identify who we're going to interview and who are the key contacts. Now, the general approach to this is that we interview different people, talk to key people that are intimately involved with your process, and we tie pain to different solutions. So where are your pain points? We then understand that and we tie it to we try to quantify everything. So we try to tie it to either a cycle time or a revenue loss or a manpower consumption, whatever the case may be. We tie that pain to what it results in. We then have some review sessions with people, and we've got an approach map, we've got a project plan, we've got an architecture plan and map in which we provide for all this stuff. The deliverables from these are the fact that we come with a plan and different initiatives to address these pains and issues. Each one of them is personalized for the different customer. We understand that there may be some certain things that you have to abide to and that you have to live within, but nonetheless, those deliverables are those action items and those initiatives are specific to the pain, and we try to quantify them as much as possible. So, for example, time to market, streamlining an ECO process. Well, we want to have a goal of reducing it by 45%, or we want to, we do a lot of mergers and acquisitions, and so our part proliferation and duplication of parts is out of control. Well, we want to establish a common parts library where we have 100% common parts and that we don't duplicate things. So there's a process that's in place we want to streamline our product development process. Well, we want to, as part of that, we're doing a lot of outside contracting. We want to integrate our key suppliers into the process to reduce the amount of communication required, as well as the sharing of information through snail mail or through email, this, that, and the other, is possibly sending the wrong file to them. So we want to integrate our key suppliers into our process. Enhancing customer support. We want to provide create project visibility for each customer, so that for each customer, so that they then have understanding and access to what that product is all about, as well as establishing accountability, right? Therefore, you establish possibly attribute and workflow status ownership. So in each status, certain departments or individuals are accountable to provide key information, and as the process doesn't go forward, it gets stagnant, you're easily able to measure it and understand either what the problem is, or encourage the individuals and or departments to be more timely with their information. Now, one way of doing that is that we understand your current process, both from a who's doing what is the activity, are there any roadblocks to accomplishing that, are you waiting for certain information, whatever the case may be, and then we identify the gaps that would need to be filled in order to transition that and bring that into or improve that within the Agile workflow engine. Additionally, what is the impact on engineering, right, with different certain activities, right? So in the process, they're re-entering information, for example, that consumes X percentage of their time. They're searching for internal information to support what they're designing, which consumes an additional set of time. Then they're validating and editing information, which some could be value added, but that is not, consumes additional time. So the list goes on, and so the total amount of time of in this illustrative example is 55% of their time is non-value added work, where the actual value added work is only 45% of their time. Therefore, what can we do to reduce that 55 and therefore making them more value added through their engineering process. So we look at processes in a very detailed and activity-based type of fashion. When we do that, we then, that leads us to then being able to understand what the possible reduction or improvement might be, as we spoke earlier, on our objectives when we identify pains. So we quantify the impact and we establish an objective and goal, and then we move forward. So when we move forward, one of the key things is that each initiative would have an owner. So for example, reducing engineering cycle time is driven by engineering. They own it with some support from manufacturing. And some of that may be in relationship to integrating to an ERP system if you don't already have it. It might require some automation to be built. That's fine. Again, we identify all that is required in order to move the initiative and reduce the pain forward. So, I mean, I don't need to go through all of these, but, one key one that is seems to be raising its head more and more is more and more companies are pushing out to contract manufacturers and bringing that contract manufacturer or that supplier into your overall development and engineering process. Agile, facilitates the ability to do that on many different fronts. The old way was using and some of the old timers will understand the old Agile Express. Well, that's becoming an outdated product. Even though it still works, it does not support fully a lot of what all customers are needing. So more and more customers are integrating their suppliers and contract manufacturers into their Agile system so that that supplier can go directly to the product record and grab the content that they need to in order to either A, respond to a change order or build the product or give a quote or whatever the case may be. So there's many different ways, and the ownership inside of the company needs to be established of who's going to own what initiative. At the end of the day, when the strategic value assessment is done and over with, there is an implementation plan. And that implementation plan is comprehensive in relationship to what is going to be required in order to deploy and implement these solutions. Now, some of those may be internal, that you, the customer, need to change business practices and or organizationally or technology stack-wise, whatever the case may be. Some of it may be, that an additional module or an integration or automation to something, or it could be, look, we need to bring that kind of content into Agile, and the process is that you, for lack of better words, configure that content into Agile and start managing it in Agile and migrate what makes sense historically into Agile for historical purposes. So every solution and every customer will have their own, a unique implementation plan and set of initiatives that would be a result of this particular initiative and this value assessment. Excuse me. So some examples, as if I can hit on just a few that came to mind very quickly, was one customer that didn't really manage a bill of material, but they managed a bill of process even though they were discrete manufacturing. And so translating that bill of material into a bill of process like solution for them so that they could manage their work in process materials, so on and so forth. Creating automation to avoid non-value activities in relationship to creating declarations. So, for example, when a new manufacturer part number is created, If it doesn't exist already, obviously if it's new, it doesn't exist in Agile, it automatically generates the declaration of compliance and prepares it and attaches that manufacturer part onto that declaration so that you're not having to go through the manual activities of building that record, finding the manufacturer part, associating it, and then sending it off to the compliance manager. Likewise, some of that is based upon an ECO release of your product. Based on my ECO and the build cycle that it might entail, I create my request for declarations on manufacturer parts that I am actually using, not just every single one that I create. Another one where we find that Agile is not necessarily accessible by all employees in the company, but yet you're managing your SOPs and your work instructions, so on and so forth, in Agile, and those need to be made available to the general population that are not actually accessing Agile. So an auto generation of a PDF for that document or work instruction, and it adds it obviously to the Agile Vault, but it also pushes it out into a specific location out on your shared drive so that the necessary training and consumption of that product and that work instruction can be done by individuals that are not Agile users. Managing equipment calibration records, right? So if you are managing your equipment and certain equipment needs to be calibrated on a frequency, managing that calibration and those certifications of calibration inside of Agile. All part of a larger understanding of your quality management system. A bidirectional feed for corporate classifications. Your parts may need to be classified as I don't know, ITAR or otherwise for certain access based upon your supplier involvement. Having that integrated with a corporate classification solution that is much broader than just Agile, having that bidirectional feed to where you create the part in Agile, it goes out, gets classified, and then gets sucked back into Agile so that then the access can be appropriately managed by your suppliers and other individuals that are consuming the content. So these are just a few examples of some creative solutions that have come out of value assessments that we have done, as well as some of the every project that we do, there is an element of value assessment that's being done so that a customer can receive the greatest value that Agile has to offer, and whether it's immediately implemented or subsequent phases of implementation, we don't care as long as it's been identified and there's an option there for the company to go forward. Now, when it comes to these value assessments, there's two types that we offer. One is a full-blown strategic value assessment program where it's an on-site evaluation, and we have different interviews with different key stakeholders and go through a very thorough and very detailed understanding of your current solution. The other option, option number 2, is one that is more of a questionnaire-based program, to where we would send out a questionnaire and it would be handled remotely. Certainly not, it's hard. It would be hard to get to the level of detail that an on-site evaluation would be, but it's handled more from a remote perspective that we would then provide for you. So two different options that are available to you, and so again, just to recap, the strategic value assessment is a good thing to do on a periodic basis to act as a checkpoint and answer the question of, am I getting all I can out of Agile, or is there more opportunity there that can bring value to the entire enterprise? So with that, are there any questions that anybody has?
Yeah, Jeff, I am just pulling up the messaging board here. Yeah, there are several. First, so am I hearing that from this SBA, I can measurable ROI as a result? So I think, Jeff, you might have covered some of that. Some of these questions came in, of course, before you were finished, but around any sort of reporting or result, maybe even documentation at the end of a value assessment. In what way will we help quantify ROI based on what we learned throughout the assessment?
Well, what you would get is you would get, for example, cycle time. We obviously have a baseline that we would establish from what you have currently done within Agile and your change processes. We would establish what is your current average cycle time. So you would know what you are, and then from that and from the interviews and from the discussions we would have with the activity owners, we would then establish, well, is there more to, is there more opportunity to bring that cycle time down, and where those opportunities would exist. So you would have a baseline of where you are in cycle time and certain metrics based upon what the topic is of what your current cycle is and what your current standings are.
Great. Next question. Does Domain offer an ongoing periodic evaluation option?
Yes, as part of one of our, there's a Center of Excellence. There are 3 levels in our Center of Excellence, and in 2 of the 3, the mid and upper tier of those Center of Excellences, there is the value assessment activity that is offered to those Center of Excellence customers.
Okay. Will the SBA address or help us streamline a merge of another company that we are incorporating?
So would it help you to merge in and basically assimilate the acquired company? It certainly could, if that, as I mentioned before, if you're a company that you want to have one common item master, then yes, we would be able to assist you with how to go about that and what would need to be done in order for that to happen, so that then it could be repeated merger after merger or acquisition after acquisition.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. Just looking if there are any more questions here. We can just wait for a minute and feel free to send those over. Yeah, Jeff, I certainly appreciate you running through this. And as Jeff mentioned, there are 2 different options of this SBA that we've got kind of rolled out at this time, right? One being a little more, I'll say, basic, or at least a little more high level with the questionnaire. And of course, we can at that point engage offsite and whatnot and address what we need to flexibly. The other, like many products in the business and Agile and PLM itself, they kind of evolved. We for a long time offered this as more of a quote-unquote health check, and for what we understand of, well, what really we're giving to the customers, and we have since evolved it to this value, or FBA rather, I should say. So that one being more intensive. Now, any questions or anything around setting up the actual assessment itself? Viewing the screen now, go ahead and call our number there, and we'll route you to the appropriate individual and look to set up times on either option. There is a question of course, the more involved assessment being, what departments and personnel are we going to talk to? Is quality a factor in the Agile product, project management, and cost and whatnot? So we'll need to better understand who we're talking to, and then of course help both parties understand the length of time that will take for us to properly deliver an assessment in that case. So just check the questions here again. That is it for now, it looks like. So with that, I guess we'll go ahead and we can end up just a little early here, everyone. But again, we really appreciate the participation. We had a big group today, and that's great to see. And again, circle back with us with questions. Thank you again, Jeff, for taking the time and walking through this with us. And I think with that, we are good. So appreciate it, everybody.